Hello, hello. Is there anybody there? Can anybody hear me out there? It's 8 p.m. in London. I'm not quite sure what time it is where you are. But thanks everyone for joining. Oh, it looks like there's quite a few people here. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Right, we're planning on getting Charlotte on board to talk to her about the journal this evening. So I think she's just popped up. I'm going to go and let her in and start the ball rolling. Request. Oh, hi from Grace. Hi. Right, Charlotte, I've tried to let you in. Is it working? I can hear you in the USA. Hello. She might have to just give me another go. Do you know what it is? There's so many people here. Oh, she's here.
Hello. I'm here. I made it.
Oh, thank God. I felt like I was Trevor McDonald there for one, kind of like Blanda or something, like, come on in.
Do you know what? I know, because normally when we've done them before, I host it, don't I? So
You're far better at it.
We've swapped. Absolutely not. We've swapped roles today, and I was like, oh, I'm on the other side now.
I know.
So
yeah, we might have to go away. We can take it in turns from now on.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
How you doing? All good?
I am ready to go. How are you?
Yeah. I'm great. I have been so excited for this whole time period, and now it's here. I can't believe it. It's crazy.
Yeah, same. I've been so ready for this last lunar cycle, which we're literally like just at the end of, and then we're going to start a new lunar cycle tomorrow. So it's exciting.
With our journal. I know. It's exciting. Yeah. So people who are just jumping in and are new to the whole process and probably don't know that much about us and what we do. I'm Hayley, and I'm the sort of artist and designer behind the journal, alongside Anna, who we need to throw massive amounts of credit for.
Yes.
She's the other designer and writer who has done so much of this journal and has been a massive boon to having her on the team. So she's with us in spirit, should we say. So Anna and I are behind the scenes in the sort of art world and designing of the product. And you, my dear Charlotte, over to you. You can do a little intro for yourself.
Well, I am just so delighted to have been asked by you to be the contributing astrologer to the journal, because I mean, it's safe to say, isn't it, Hayley, it was a real labour of love to actually put it all together. And I love doing it. So I'm a Hellenistic astrologer, but I do work with modern techniques as well when I see clients. And I write, so some of you who are joining now will know that I write the insights in the New Moon newsletter, and I've been doing that for a while for Moonface Studios, and I love doing it. So so when you asked me to contribute to the journal, I was absolutely thrilled, and it's been amazing to be part of your team. Honestly, it's been really, really special. So I've just been basically contributing and verifying data for all the lunar transits, and then helping with some of the kind of seasonal energetic insights per month, and a few prompts as well. So I've loved it. Thank you.
Oh no, it's been absolutely amazing. And again, I don't know what I would have done without Anna. It wouldn't have existed. And I don't know what I would have done without you. But I think if I'd have known what I was trying to achieve this time last year, I probably would have given myself more like 3 years to do it rather than the one. So it's been, I mean, there was some moments there, wasn't there, from like phone calls backwards and forwards, and but hopefully it's all worked out. And I think, we've had some great feedback so far, which is great.
Yeah, and when I've got to say, when the journal arrived, I felt a bit emotional when it arrived. I'm sure you did, because you did the unboxing, didn't you?
Yeah.
On like live on Instagram. But I felt quite emotional because it has been such a team effort and such an amazing piece of work to do. And I feel like really thrilled with it, really proud of it, and you should be so proud of it, Hayley. You put so much effort.
Yeah, and so should Anna as well. And
Anna, I mean the team, it's been amazing.
Rachel does a lot of answering all the questions for us, who does all our customer service and stuff. And there's a lot of people in the background, I think, and there's a lot of juggling plates that sort of made it happen. There's loads of lovely comments as well so far, guys. We're overwhelmed by
I can see Jill. Hi, Jill. Loves the journal.
Jill.
Brilliant.
This is amazing. Right, I suppose we better get cracked in, because the whole point of what tonight was about was about oh my God, it's actually going to be real. We can start writing it as of tomorrow, or now, really, if you want. And we had some like questions that had come through from people who just wanted a bit more sort of clarity on maybe what that part is or why we've included it.
Yeah, great.
The main one I think that people have sort of asked about is the Venn diagram. So the reason we came about with the Venn diagram, again, credit to Anna for this, because as we were talking about how we wanted people to use this journal, which was going to be around the moon rather than just Monday to Friday, put a little moon in the corner, we wanted it to be that the big precedence was the moon cycle, so that you knew you were having a full stop and a rest from the last moon cycle, taking a bit of breath and thinking about where you were going ahead. So we wanted to look at the astrological standpoint from that very point as you're just in that new moon and what you've got coming ahead of you, and then what you're working towards, what it's going to be like in the full moon or beyond. And then we were thinking more seasonally as well, because we've got all those beautiful traditional tribal names for each one of the moons, and they're normally really they invoke a bit of the weather, and that kind of, if you think about what you're going to be doing in winter, you might not be doing that much. So maybe the stuff that you're planning you might ruminate on it a little bit or plan later in the year. So that Venn diagram, the idea was you'd have those three aspects, like where we are in that new moon, what you're working towards in that full moon, and then the season and that sort of tribal sort of history to the season in that bit there. But really, in terms of how you fill that out, again, it's just self-discovery. It's just whatever comes to you. I mean, I was having a little look at the one that we've got coming up now, and it says about that ancestral bonds and the new moon, that kind of vibe, that family history. Now, that might spark a thought of, I haven't been in touch with my stepsister for years, and actually it's something that's bothering me, but I'm not doing anything about it. It's things like that that we wanted to sort of, if you jot that down, maybe that cold moon is telling you it's not the right time now, but there might be a time in the future where you know that you want to bring that back up. And yeah, the Venn diagram was more about just pinpointing that cycle ahead of you, and then what comes from you, essentially.
Yeah, and we were kind of chatting before this, weren't we? And I was saying I had to remind myself what a Venn diagram is and kind of how it works, because I'd come across them before, obviously, but I just kind of had to remind myself. So I had a little look and filled it out earlier, a bit preemptive, but hey, we were doing this. So I was like, I'm just going to kind of like work with the Venn diagram. And it was so helpful, because obviously when I was working on the journal with you, that part I knew it was there, but that wasn't the main bit that I was focusing on, obviously. So I just kind of had a good look at it today, and it was so helpful to just think how the new moon, then the kind of the tribal name, like you said, so the cold moon, and then the full moon in Cancer, and how they can all interlink. And I felt quite clear afterwards as well. So I love the Venn diagram. You know, it really kind of makes sense.
Just do a little thing now. So a few people have popped up. So at the start of each of your cycle, there'll always be a Venn diagram at the start of each chapter, essentially. And there'll always be a little passage sort of giving you the overview. So you've got one there, and then at each one, so you have a different colour for the next one. So yeah, this crops up every time. And it's almost like a shorthand way of you jotting those things in and seeing what it is that might marry up that you might not have realised, but it's hopefully helping pull those things out from you.
Yeah, I think it's really helpful. And like you said, there's actually no wrong way of doing it. It's basically about self-discovery, isn't it? And just getting something down on paper.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about the whole journal, actually. So I still carry like a paper diary. I feel like I'm, you know, a bit old fashioned for like worky business stuff.
Yeah.
And I have that, but this journal is just for me. So literally this is going to be like my personal, like I feel like this is just my sacred journal, my space to write things down. I'm just going to keep it, like for me, I'm just going to keep it in my bedside cabinet. Yeah, that's what I'm going to journal about before I go to bed each night, and that's how I'm going to use it. And I love that I've got something that feels for me like separate to do that in, actually. But again, there's no right or wrong way.
Days and the work meetings and the other things, it's literally like an emotional outlet is hopefully what we're hoping for it. We've already talking about the next one, which is obviously a bit ridiculous because we've only made this one, but they take that long to make. And one of the things that Anna and I discussed was, when we come to do the new ones, would it be quite nice to maybe keep the same sort of, obviously each chapter has got its own colour, which is sort of a nod towards the season or the flavour of the cycle. Although we might change them slightly, maybe it'd be quite nice to keep them so that in years to come, when you can sort of have your collection of these sort of journals, you might realise that you've come full circle, and next year, and you'll think, oh, I remember where I was when I was writing in this point last year, and I felt really sad, and actually I feel so much better now. But hopefully you'd have those things that would probably work to spark memory, hopefully, if we can keep that ball rolling and get that journaling going year in, year out.
Yeah, and I think I love the ritual of that. You know, one of the reasons why I love working with the lunar cycle is this ritual that we can create for ourselves each month when we do tap into the new moon. And then, you know, as we work through the cycle and the waxing phases, and we tap into the full moon. And now this journal just captures all of that, which I absolutely love. And also the fact that we start with this new moon in Sagittarius, which is brilliant, because it's a transitory lunar cycle, because it takes us into 2024. So, you know, rather than that kind of like, okay, 1st of January start on a, you know, a general diary, this is like we're thinking ahead, and I love that about it. I think it's really unique, and yeah, genius, Hayley.
Well, that's what I was hoping for, because as soon as I thought, why is there not a diary that does this? It's because it takes a little bit of figuring out. You're not really using the normal formats, but then this seemed like a good spot to do it, in terms of you can be thinking about the year coming up, and then you can start thinking what it is that you want from 2024. But yeah, like you said, the 1st of January doesn't feel like the right sort of time to do that ordinarily, halfway through, you know, it's just, it doesn't seem right. Now, knowing that we're starting this cycle, but when it ends, we're going to be into 2024. Yeah, we've got that luck on our side to make some great gains going ahead.
Definitely. And I think that the idea of, like, you know, the Sagittarius sort of depiction of the centaur kind of shooting his arrow into the heavens, it feels like we can really start to do that with this new moon, and we've got a lovely journal to enable it as well. So yeah, we're getting some really lovely comments as well. Thanks everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Really good to see people here, and
we've not been to see, I'm afraid. We'll have to go back for them afterwards. Oh, this is lovely, because I'm not aware. Oh, well, this is, I mean, there's no right or wrong way to do it, really. I mean, if we've also got, which not everybody knows about, if you have bought this and signed up for our newsletters, every new moon and full moon, and now we're just starting to add more emails to that list, is we've got emails with contributions from you, Charlotte, and we're now starting to do ones around the start of every sun season as well. So we're going to have that kind of astrological flavour and a bit of sort of insight from Charlotte, which will come with emails. So even if you feel like you're not quite sure if you've got enough information for that particular cycle or day, for example, we're going to be sending out more and more information via email. And then you do a great community as well on Facebook. So there's another group there, in terms of if people really want to tap into it, there's a lot more available.
Yeah, so I think with the emails, because we're going to do it slightly differently, aren't we, kind of coming up?
Yeah.
It's going to be like a really nice thread for people, so you'll be able to tune in at the new moon and the full moon, but also appreciate the kind of the sun season, like you said, Hayley, as we kind of move through each cycle. And you know how they all interweave. I really think that I've seen a couple of comments, you know, people sort of saying, oh, I'm not quite so fluent in astrology and things. Just let it unfold. If you're interested, if it's calling to you, just enjoy the process, because as we work with the journal, things will become clear as you work with the journal. And you can always, I guess, drop you a line, Hayley, if there's a particular question.
Oh, totally. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Somebody did just ask them, which was one of the other questions that we had, was people weren't sure about the tracking box. So we've covered it a bit in the intro, but maybe I needed to expand on it a bit more. But this is one of the concepts that I had when I first wanted to do something like this, is I wanted to be able to find patterns of things between the moon and whatever it was I wanted to find a pattern between. For example, for me, the one is my menstrual cycle. So I know I'm always around a full moon, but then when I had the kids, it swapped to a new moon. I knew those things, but I'm not very good at keeping on top of it. So that's what that box is for, and that's what I'm going to use mine for. Is that first day of my period will be day 1, for example, and you carry on, and then you can hopefully find those synchronicities between the moon and your own body rhythms. For example, I mean, a lot of people who are sort of past menstrual cycles and in menopause, they will quite like using it for that exact reason, that they don't have those cues from their body anymore, but can be using the moon instead. So a lot of people use the new moon as if it's their winter, if you like, as if that's their time to withdraw and rest, just as you would and should do around that time of the phase of your month, and then look towards the full moon as if that's the time to celebrate and be fertile and go out there and say yes to everything. But the tracking box can be completely unique to you, really. I mean, if you wanted to sort of feel like, I'm always getting these headaches, or is there a link between what happens around a full moon and this particular thing, or if it's to do with your growing, I just wanted it to be a little bit of free space for people to kind of interpret whatever it is, to see what patterns they've got with the moon's cycle, if that makes sense.
I think that's such a brilliant thing to do in the journal, because I always say to, you know, clients that I'm working with, and in my little Lunar group as well on Facebook, this really is about you tuning into your body, and seeing how maybe your cycle interlinks with the moon cycle. And it's all about working with your intuition and feeling like, oh, that's a pattern that I'm noticing there. You know, I always say to people, yes, we can look at the new moons and full moons, we can learn loads about that, that's great, but actually, how are these points in the cycle impacting you? That's the pattern to pay attention to. And then to see if there are patterns going ahead. So I think that the journal gives you a really good opportunity to do that. I really like the tracking box. I think it's great.
And again, it's something that we didn't want to be too prescriptive with in terms of exactly how to fill it out. So, you know, you feel free to do as you will. One person just said, I'm going to use it to track my migraines, because that's might have a bit more of a, oh yeah, when I'm doing those things, then this happens afterwards. When I'm eating those foods, I feel like this, or I felt great for ages. What happened then, and then what's been the follow-up? I think one of the things that we definitely know that we're going to do next time is have a page layout of the cycle ahead. So a double page spread of every day, which is one of the things that we just thought about a bit too late. But yeah, I suppose I shouldn't give ourselves a hard time for things we didn't include, but that's the one that we'll definitely have on our list for next time. Oh, sleep tracker, great idea. Yeah, I mean, sleep tracker, how well you slept or how bad you slept. And then it's almost like if you know that those are coming, you can prepare for them, you know. So yeah.
And somebody just said as well, I think it was Jill again actually, she said a tarot card pull, that would be an interesting one.
Great.
Love that.
And that would be one that in future editions you could sort of see how it's moving. Great. So somebody asked, which is the traffic, sorry to interrupt you, Charlotte. In the bottom right hand corner of each page, we've got a little square there. So again, that's what I'm going to be like day 1 of my period, in 2, 3, and then if you miss a few days, it's very easy to work it out, hopefully. So I don't know, I mean, we've had so many comments, Charlotte. Did you see questions that have whizzed past in front of your eyes?
Well, I've not massively, so huge apologies to people if we haven't answered your questions, but if there's something that's burning, then you can absolutely, I can see Kel727. So yes, so this is Western astrology, not Vedic, because you're asking about that. I'll be using it for daily oracle card pulls. Yeah, wellness with Lorraine. Yeah, perfect. I think there's so many things we can use it for. And I was just about to say, sorry, before I went off on a little comment tangent, if there are big things like questions you want to ask, you can always DM Hayley or me, that's fine, or pop an email to Moonface Studios if there's something you'd like to know and we've missed it, because to be honest, let's be fair, Hayley, we haven't actually done a live for so long. This is like we're trying to get back on the wagon of doing these.
Absolutely. Oh, somebody said about the name of your Facebook group, Charlotte.
Oh, it's called Life with Lunar Magic, and it's really grown recently, so I'm actually having to get an admin to come and help me with the size of the group, because
that's
great. Amazing, to be honest, because, you know, back in 2020 when I started it, I thought maybe I'd get like 20 members, And yeah, it's grown considerably. So I love that. I'm so thrilled that so many people just love working with the moon and are interested in learning more. So it's great.
Amazing. Yeah.
And
you do such a good job of being able to involve everybody and it feel like a nice community. So well done to you.
oh, bless you. Yeah, well, I try, you know, I think it's really important for us to really connect, work with intuition if we can, like work with strengthening it. And this is all about working with the lunar cycle. That's the beauty of it. And that the journal, again, just really helps us with. So I know loads of people have been completely like wanting to get stuck into it. And you haven't got long, folks, literally.
No.
Tomorrow.
Well, last couple of hundred left, which is unbelievable.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know. So we had somebody say, can we buy the journal on its own? Yes, you can. Somebody else said about the time zone that the journal's in. So if you bought it in US, it would be in PST. So you do have to work out where you are, and I'd take away those couple of hours. But you'll automatically be sent an American time zone. The ones in the UK will obviously be in a London time zone. We had somebody else who just asked about preparing for Mercury retrograde.
Yes, I'm going to talk about that in a second. Lots of people asking about the Venn diagram though.
Should we recap on the Venn diagram?
Let's recap on it. Have you filled one in? Because I could show one. I could show my one. I'm happy to do that. That's helpful. Let's have a little look. Okay, so I filled mine out earlier today. I hope this helps people with the Venn diagram. Okay, so I filled mine out earlier today. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. But for the new moon in Sag, I put motivation, okay? Because I feel like this is, and I'm going to talk a bit about this in a minute, but it is about dynamism, kind of thinking ahead, shooting an arrow into the heavens. So I put motivation because that felt right for me. Again, self-discovery, it's got to feel right for people. And then for the full moon in Cancer, I put family. But how these two are interlinked, I had to have a think about that. And in the end, I came up with the word celebration, which I quite liked. And thinking about celebrating with my family over Christmas, over Yule. So that's kind of how I thought about that. And then with the cold moon, so I'll show it again, just so you can see what I'm actually talking about. With the cold moon, I put rest. That was my key word. Now, Hayley, as I go, this might not be what you're thinking of at all. And you might be thinking, what Charlotte done? But...
Oh, there is no wrong.
Hopefully this makes sense. But I put rest, and then between motivation and rest, I thought, okay, how do those interlink? So I put balance. That felt right for me.
Perfect.
And then anyway, the thing in the middle that joined it all together, which is how I use a Venn diagram. And someone saying this makes so much sense. Yay, I'm so glad. So the two things that came up in the middle for me with all of that was recuperation and connection, and that joined them all together. So I hope that makes sense for people.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, there's no right or wrong way of doing it, although that was right.
Was it? I hope so.
You know, I mean you can go as far as deep as you want to, but I think the point of the Venn diagram was to maybe spark some more connections that you hadn't quite thought of. So you said, you've just said about the motivation. So presumably it's about motivating for the things that you want to achieve. But then again, you said rest. So those are things that as you're getting into the crazy side of Christmas and asked to do lots of stuff, you might be thinking, no, actually, I said I was going to do a bit of balance. So maybe I'm not going to do all of those things or oblige for those things. So like I said, there's no right or wrong way for the Venn diagram.
Mine, look guys, whoever's watching, mine was purely an example. And that's kind of what I came up with earlier.
The thing out of that is the main thing for you that you want to run with, and it might that creates the current theme throughout that cycle. But that was perfect.
Yeah, I like the bit in between, and that's what I absolutely loved about it. I was saying to you earlier, wasn't I, Hayley? Like it felt clear. I was like, right, recuperation and connection, those are things that feel really important for me for this cycle. So I loved it actually. So
great.
Hope everyone enjoys doing the Venn diagram, because honestly, I think it's great.
Brilliant. Well, I hope so. And again, that was another little brainwave of Anna's, the idea that what is it we want people to get from that moon journey? What is it they want to be getting from this cycle? What is it that they're meant to be putting in? And it was just an idea to spark off those ideas that as the cycle continues. And I'm like, no, I was meant to be doing a bit more motivation. I've not really done those things yet, or I've not maybe I'm missing a bit of that, and then, you know, later on you can keep on coming back to it.
That's it. And I think you're spot on about, you know, there's no right or wrong way. Don't worry about getting too tied up in how we should be doing things. I think the big thing about working with the lunar cycle and the moon is kind of tapping into your intuition actually, and letting that speak, and not getting too kind of rigid about how we do things. Let it unfold, and find the joy in it, you know, really find the joy.
Yeah,
because I don't know about you, but if you find something a chore, Hayley, like, oh gosh, I've got to write my journal, then it's like, there's no fun in that. It's got to feel like, oh, excited, I want to write in my journal.
Absolutely, 100%. I couldn't have said it better. Yeah, it's got to be, your little outlet and something you enjoy. You might just enjoy one day thinking, oh, I'm just going to doodle in this corner.
Yeah.
I've got nothing else in me for the minute, but that might be the nice little meditative motion that you need on pen to paper that will probably actually be doing you a bit of good. So yeah, as long as it's authentically you, then it's great. Oh, what's the pocket in the back for? There you go.
Yeah,
the answer to that. That's all up to you. That's your secret zone to whatever you want in. Photos, you know, anything really, but I'm always bodging bits and bobs in things and
same
all in and out. So yeah,
I love that pocket at the back. That's really helpful for me.
Oh, it was very problematic logistically, but I won't go
in. I bet it was. I can imagine, but it's great.
Yeah. Okay. I'm also aware that we've kind of racked up quite a bit of time, and that we are on the cusp of our next cycle. So the other plan we had for our chat, Charlotte, was to essentially unpack a bit of the astro insights for what's ahead. So if everyone's okay, I think it makes sense for us to jump onto that now before we wrap it up. And then the big plan for our Insta Live is for me to not lose it, and to actually download it and to be able to share it afterwards. And in doing so, we might have a chance to go through some of those comments and just touch upon those other bits and bobs. We have had people ask about your group, and yes, she is Charlotte Cosmically Conscious. So
I am, yes. I've literally just rebranded as well. So yeah, it's definitely Charlotte Cosmically Conscious. Oh, someone's just said, I already have things in my secret pocket. I love that. You're already on it. Brilliant.
Oh, I need to get some things in there.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I just want to get stuck in now.
Yeah.
So I'll just give a little bit of info then, because I know we've been kind of chatting for a while about this cycle. So I feel like we need to start with our beautiful new moon in Sagittarius, which, as we know, is arriving tomorrow. And this sense of, like I said earlier, kind of pulling the arrow back, yes, just about to kind of shoot it into the heavens, as the Sagittarius depiction of the centaur kind of shows us. And it is a little bit like, I feel like that's a really good sense of the energy for this part of the cycle, because we do have a new moon in Sagittarius, which is all about kind of thinking about what we want to envisage for the future, which is great because we're transiting with this cycle into 2024. But also we're going into a Mercury retrograde. So we've got a really interesting kind of combo of energies here, because Mercury retrogrades are much more about kind of slowing down, taking time to revise and review. I think Hayley and I are really brave doing this on a Mercury, just on the cusp.
We're on the cusp, we're okay.
Well, there's still a shadow period, but you know what, we're here, we're doing it. So, I had a word with Mercury earlier, and you know, hopefully it'll all be good. So so this idea of really stepping into Sagittarius energy, which is about thinking what we want to aim for, okay, but also just taking on board the fact that Mercury retrograde is happening. So while we're thinking about potent new moon intentions, so this idea of, you know, pausing at a new moon, which the journal completely encourages. And when I'm working with people, we always talk about, you know, about the lunar cycle. The new moon is like the beginning of a cycle. So we have a new moon, and this is time to kind of reconnect within, actually, and sow some seeds. Now, I think, Hayley, like at this time of year, this is a really beautiful opportunity to do that anyway, because, you know, in the northern hemisphere, you know, where it's darker, we're in a season of, you know, we're coming up to the winter solstice. Like, I actually love this time of year. You know, a long time ago, I used to struggle a bit actually with the dark nights and things, but actually for me now, it feels quite magical.
Yeah.
and working kind of internally with, you know, going inward and working with intuition, all that kind of thing. So, you know, this Mercury retrograde actually gives us a good opportunity to slow down and do some of that. So I kind of like the combination. Okay, yes, Mercury retrogrades, we do need to maybe slow it down, you know, maybe think about making your communication as clear as possible. Sometimes with Mercury, the planet of communication, when it goes into retrograde, it can feel a little bit like communication can get misconstrued. Yeah. So just making sure, you know, we're crystal clear with communication can be helpful. Yeah, taking time to slow down, like crossing your T's, dotting your I's with your travel plans. And this isn't at all to like scaremonger about Mercury retrograde. I'm not one of those astrologers. I just like to say, okay, let's have a heads up. Maybe we can help ourselves a little bit just with taking that time to review things. Yeah, I can see someone saying, and it brings communication issues. Yeah, you know, sometimes it can. And so, like I said, just being nice and clear with your communication can be really helpful. So I feel like this new moon in Sagittarius, when we think of Sagittarius energy and the joy and the optimism, you know, the sign is ruled by Jupiter, giver of gifts, luck, opportunity, all this lovely energy. You know, we have that as a signature at the start of the cycle, and we have Mars as well, giving some real dynamism. So I feel like we can finish this year on a high and we can really shoot our arrow into the heavens. But I just sort of think, let's take our time to do it. You know, I think that's what Mercury is saying. Let's just slow it down and let's journal. Let's have a think about it, and let's be mindful about the intentions we set. Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of like my thought for, yeah, as we start to work with the energies over the next few days. But I do think this is a beautiful time of year, and I love Sagittarius energy. Are you a Sag rising, Hayley?
I think I am. Yeah, I am, aren't I? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you are. Yeah. So this is great new moon for you.
Well, hopefully so. I mean, I've got a lot of I'm sowing some seeds up here, but yeah, I'm going to take that notion of, instead of, it is like you said, you know, you're shooting that arrow, but you might not necessarily be hitting the bullseye just yet. That's the vibe that I get, and that's the sort of what I'm ruminating on with this sort of cold moon, the season. Even though we might be kind of eager to have certain things that we want to get going, maybe all things considered, a bit of Mercury retrograde, etc., it might be nice to really just consider those things a bit longer and work through them for a little while and see when would be the best time to make those happen.
Definitely. That's what I think. You know, it's just a really nice time to consider and also visualize maybe about what you want for next year. You know, the rest of this cycle, it's going to take us into next year. So it is a potent cycle to work with. It's amazing that the journal starts with this cycle. I think it's great. A really great time to set some intentions, but just be really mindful about it and enjoy it. You know, find the joy. Sagittarius energy is joyful energy. And I think that's a really lovely thing to kind of work with around this new moon. I should mention as well, there is some Neptunian energy coming in. I think that can be helpful for visualizing. We think of Neptune and imagination and creativity, but also that planet can give us a bit of fog. You know, it can feel a bit foggy. And I think that, again, slowing things down can just help us wait a little bit for the fog to lift. So if things do feel a little bit foggy or confusing around this new moon, just hang in there, you know, just go with it, let things unfold. I think at this time of year, we can be in a rush to get everything happening and, you know, moving sometimes. But actually, if you look to nature, all the energy is happening underground. You know, we're conserving energy. And so I just think that's a lovely way to think about this lunar cycle.
I think you're absolutely right, Charlotte. We've had a few other people who, somebody just said about how they can find out what sign they are. Is there links to do that on your website, Charlotte? Or, I mean, I know that we're going to be putting the link in from the newsletter soon.
No, there's not on my website, I'm afraid. Was that rising sign? You might.
Yeah, because you do a lot. I mean, you're essentially an astro mentor. So in terms of taking people through their birth chart readings, etc., that's one of the things that you are excellent at.
Thank you.
But we are planning. So the emails that we're planning on sending out soon, one of them is Charlotte delivering a sun season email, which will be when we move into particular astro sign. And during that, well, I'll hand it over to you again. So we'll be taking through rising signs in that.
Yeah, so what we thought we'd do with the seasonal email is kind of introduce the season. So the next season will be the season of Capricorn. But what we thought would be good is if you knew during that season what full moon and new moon were coming up for the season and how they can link together. And so I've just done a little kind of heads up styling, haven't I, Hayley, in the newsletter for the lunar cycle kind of highlights of that season. So I think it will be clear when everyone gets the newsletter how we've kind of done it. But it means that when you look at the seasonal newsletter, it will link to the new moon insights and the full moon insights. So you'll have a lovely thread just to keep on, you know, just to joyfully tune into it, really, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm hoping that people will get a lot, I think, from it, and a lot in terms of the emails have obviously packed with a lot more information than we could possibly put in the journal. I think that was one of the problems that we came to, was it's already that thick anyway. And if you're going to go into all that bit of information, it would be literally like one piece, wouldn't it, by the time you've added everything up. So hopefully now, if people can keep an eye out for their emails and those new ones that are coming along, then it will aid your journaling journey.
Definitely. And you know, maybe we'll jump on and do a few more lives and just kind of talk people through it. That could be helpful, see what people think.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that follow the newsletters because they're going to help as well. And like I said before, it's just letting it unfold, not worrying too much about, am I doing this right, am I not? It's all good. You know, just enjoy it. This is for you, isn't it? Like Hayley, that's what I feel so much about the journal. This is your opportunity to just find some sacred time where you can record things that are just personal to you, just very important, very, very important to get them written down.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, it's a very healing thing to do, I think. So
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I can't quite believe it's happened. Like it's you know, it's
I know.
just crazy.
Because this is essentially like one of my intentions from so long ago. And then when I did my birth chart reading with you, and I'd said, oh, I think I just need my own space. Like I'd really love my own little studio where I could do it. And then that sort of worked its way in, didn't it? And then it's like, oh, I'd love a journal, but I need someone who knows what they're doing, you know, or like, you know, I need a designer to help me. And then Anna came in. So there's definitely power in making some plans and having some good visions and then working through them bit by bit. So I feel like it in itself, it has been a product of working with the moon anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you have manifested this.
Oh yeah, I mean, had a lot of brain time up there for sure, and going out sending good beams out.
Totally, yeah, and I think people will absolutely love it, and hope that everybody who's watching the live is excited about using it. Yeah, I mean, I am, and I've contributed to it, so I'm like, I can't wait, to be honest.
No, nor me. Not. I mean, the wait is over, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Really sorry if we've missed some of your questions, guys.
I know.
But I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yes, I've had a thoroughly great time. I'm overwhelmed with the amount of comments. I think, to be fair, Charlotte, I think our last Insta Live had, 80 people? And we were like, whoa, 80 people. Oh my God, that's insane. And we've literally had like hundreds of you today. So that is amazing.
Yeah.
So
thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, massive thank you. And people just saying thanks. Yes, looking forward to tomorrow. Brilliant. Yeah. Well, let us know how you get on.
Yeah.
It's just because it'd be great, you know, so much love has gone into it and good energy, you know, it's so infused with everyone's good vibes that we just want that to transmit out to all of you that are using it. So yeah,
you've said that perfectly. And when there was, I mean, there's a lot of gaps in the journal because of how it works with the lunar cycle. So in order to keep those bigger pages for new moons and full moons, etc., they're inevitable, those little gaps. But we wanted them to be inspiring. Like we wanted them to be like, oh, there's a nice bit of art that I've come across, or there's one of your amazing like quotes or your bit of writing that's sort of, you know, motivational or thought provoking. So hopefully we've achieved that, and it will continue to bring a bit of joy throughout the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Enjoy it, everybody. And thank you so much for being here. Is there anything you want to say, Hayley? Anything else?
I think I'm done. I think we've covered it all. I'll probably think about it afterwards and then think,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
same.
should say that. Okay, well, we're getting lots of thank yous from everybody. If it was a bit rude just to cut everybody off, but I suppose that's what you do at the end of a live, is it?
Well, I feel really uncomfortable about it too, because everyone's being so gorgeous. Thank you, folks.
But, saying that they're not getting it till Christmas. And also, there is no concern with, I mean, there will be a few people who got this for Christmas. That, I mean, you've still got the entire journal left to go. So yeah, you know, don't feel like you've missed out if you've not got those first couple of weeks in there. There's plenty there to keep going. So
I mean, it's absolutely packed, isn't it, with like gorgeous stuff. So yeah, don't worry too much at all if you don't start with exactly with the new moon in Sag. It's all good.
Yep. Okay, we'll probably wrap it up there. Otherwise, we'll probably carry on talking.
We could just go, can we? Yeah.
Right. Thank you all so much.
Lots of love, folks.
And have the most amazing next new moon cycle, knowing that it's going into 24, and get that visualization board going and think of what it is that you're shooting your arrow towards for next year.
Absolutely. And just let it unfold, take your time, breathe, get scribbling in that journal. I think, yeah. And we're all, you know, what I love about this, like we're all talking about it and we're all connecting. Just love that. Yeah. Everyone who's got the journal can like feel part of something.
Yeah. Exactly that. Okay, then we're going to say goodnight, folks, but thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you, Hayley.
And thank you, Charlotte, and happy new moon to you all.
Bye, guys.
Good moon blessings. Bye-bye.